Good evening. Hi, this is Moira Hutchison, and I am happy to welcome you to Ottawa Experts. I'm a life coach and a hypnotherapist, and I specialize in stress management and mindfulness coaching. My passion is to help people get unstuck. Basically, when I talk about stuck, it's people getting stuck in that flow of stress. And so I'm really happy to bring on with me today my guest, Stephanie Forbes, who's a wellness teacher and guide at New Leaf Wellness is your company.
Yes.
So welcome, Stephanie.
Thank you.
I'm really happy that you came to discuss. We've had conversations like this before, and I've had other guests speak with me about stress and how it impacts people's lives. What would you say is the number one thing you see stress doing to people? Like, how does it show up?
I see a lot of people with physical illness that is a result of long-term stress and not dealing with things as they come up. Because that's what happens in our energy, is when we hold on to these old emotions or these fears or these resentments, anything like that, it causes our energy to kind of freeze up and cause blockages, and then our body starts to talk to us with physical symptoms.
Absolutely.
So I see a lot of that, people coming looking for, like, I have this illness, I have this imbalance, how can I help it?
Yeah.
And it's a result of the stress, and not just the stress because we can't avoid the stress, but how do we effectively deal with it as it comes up rather than holding on to it and waiting till it's speaking to us in the physical way.
Absolutely. No, that was very well said, because basically, in my own experience, everything that is an illness or an anxiety, is always stress that's at the bottom of it.
Mm-hmm.
But I loved what you just said. It's that dealing with things as they come up.
Yeah.
Because I don't know about you, but I've done it. Something will come up, you'll get a little intuitive nudge of I need to take a day off, or I should go for a massage, or I should go for just some downtime. And we don't. We say, later, put me on the bottom of my priority list, and get thinking that we can keep going. But the truth is that we end up then depleting our own energy source.
Exactly.
Our own,
and it doesn't help anyone around us.
No.
Or ourselves.
No.
Yeah.
No. And the other thing that I've often noticed, and you probably have too, is that people think that, like, I'm thinking of a young mother that says, I have to look after my children, I have to do this first, and I'll look after me later. The amount of times that I've had to try and say, even if you had to get a babysitter or have to do something less in order to fill your cup up.
Yeah, exactly.
That's crucial. And it makes me, it's just something that makes me really sad, is where did that idea come from that it's so wrong
to take care of
ourselves?
Exactly. No, I know, and as a young mother, I can totally understand how people get swept up in the motions of getting through the day and all the tasks that are in front of you and all the demands that come to you from having small children. And it's definitely an important factor, is to make sure that you schedule that time.
Mm-hmm.
Schedule date nights, schedule that massage, and time to even just look within and see, what do I need to nourish within myself right now to let go of, so that I'm not holding on and I can deal with everything else that comes my way.
Absolutely. Yeah. And because we're all works in progress. I mean, I still need to work on myself with things like this.
Yeah.
And we've talked about this before, about what we do for ourselves. But it's really important to, as a hypnotherapist, this is something that I get into a lot with people, that even when I'm doing something that I don't particularly want, or I've maybe not taken a day off, that if I can carve out just 5 minutes for myself and visualize something that fills me up, that makes me feel calm, that can actually be the de-stress tool.
Exactly.
It's just the smallest things make such a big difference.
Well, and even meditation, people think, well, I don't have time to meditate. When will I ever find time to sit and listen to a guided meditation or stare at a candle and try to blank my mind? Like,
I can't do it.
I can't do that. So I feel it's a meditative A meditative state for me is going out for a walk in nature.
No, that's perfect.
Like being with the trees and just being with things that aren't stressed.
Yeah.
You know?
No, that's an excellent point. I often say to people, because that comes up so many times, people will say, oh, I love to meditate, but I can't.
There's no time for it.
There's no time. Well, there's no time for it, but then there's this thing of I can't do it right, because there's this idea of meditation means I have no thoughts.
Yeah.
Well, what I actually ask people is, what do you do where you lose all concept of time? Because to me, that is meditation.
Yeah.
Because when you've lost all concept of time, you've actually been given a wee break from that mindless chatter.
Exactly.
Because it's not there. You're actually in that blissful Zen kind of thing. So
exactly,
yeah, for some people it's a walk. For some people it's a run. Other people it's like doing some kind of craft. I do cross-stitching. That's a mindful. Yeah, that's
even listening to music. When you're focused on every different beat, or if you're listening to one specific instrument, that's just putting everything off to the side and focused right there, right here and now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of people are over there and behind them thinking about the past or anxious about the future, and they're not just being here right now.
Exactly. So that's then getting into like the emotional trigger. So therefore you need to have something. I said earlier about filling you up. It's something that I've often said to people is that our bodies are intelligent entities all of itself, separate from the thinking part. And so just if you simply ask yourself, does this lift me up? Does this idea or this job or this problem solving part, does this make me feel light or does it make me feel heavy? And that's yes and no.
Exactly.
That's
a simple response.
Yeah. Because now I know that we live in a world where we have to do things that we may not choose, or that we may not say, this is my passion.
Yeah.
Actually, I was listening to a recording today about this guy talking about people in business saying, follow your passion, that in order to be successful in business, that you should be always following your passion. And he was saying, no, there's still things that you need to do. If you want to put food on your plate and pay your bills, you do have to. But something I really encourage people to do is to reframe things, right? So if you're doing a job that you really don't like, you could reframe it to saying, this activity is paying for me to buy that candle or fuel my body.
It's all perspective.
Yeah.
Like, how can you see the positive in what you're doing? Because if you're not grateful for what you have right now, then you're just causing more anxiety.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
And so that's a nice segue into talking about gratitude. Do you practice any kind of, or teach people any kind of specific?
I practice it myself for sure, and I'm always encouraging people to, when they're complaining about their jobs, they're complaining about things that they don't like about their partner, they're complaining about how they're aching and they've got all these pains and everything like that in my legs and this and that. Well, what is working in your life? And focus on that, because the more you focus on the negatives, the more negatives you're creating for yourself, because your thoughts are energy, and energy creates experiences based on the thoughts that you're having. So the more positive that you can think, and it's not like have a positive mindset and that's the way it is, because it's hard for some people. You have to catch yourself in those thoughts and as they come and convert them into something of gratitude.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, of gratitude, but of acceptance too.
Yes,
because I think in gratitude, it's really important to allow yourself to be in a funk sometimes too. That's okay.
Well, that's a good time to observe what's going on in your life and what needs to be changed.
Yeah, exactly. So to actually embrace the funk and say, wow, I created this and I know that there's something good in here. Sometimes you might just have to sit in it. But then be on the lookout for, well, maybe it held you in place long enough to see the opportunity or to see it in a different way. But it's to me, it's often allowing yourself to have positive or constructive inner dialogue, I think, rather than get really into that downward spiral. It's to like you just said, to recognize it and realize this is an indication that something's not quite right here. I need to reevaluate or shift my attention onto something else. But it's something that I really try and help people look at is that my belief is that I've created my life experience.
I agree.
And so if I've created it, then, and I don't like something, then I can create something else.
It just starts with a decision. If you don't like it, you're the only one that can change it.
That's right.
Yes.
Because there is always choice. And like I said, there's always choice, but that's where we have our power, is the we can change our opinion of something in a second.
I'm so passionate about that when you said we have our power. So many people feel like everything else is everyone else's fault.
I know.
You know, I've come to this because of this person, or because that person did this.
I was abused, or
yes,
because this
and
person
they make
left
it
me, or
their story, and they make it their future, where they can decide, I choose to respond to my life, however I choose to respond to it. It's we have to take ownership for how we're choosing. Yes, it happened. It's in the past. I dealt with it, or even if they didn't deal with it back then, they're facing it now. Acknowledge it, accept it, and let it go. And then decide which way you're going to take your life from there, and how you're going to respond to those kinds of things. Because everything that happens, good or bad in your life, is a learning experience. So we have to appreciate them for what they are, as traumatic as they may have been.
That's well said. Thank you for bringing that up, because I've said that myself, that there's been turmoil and trauma that I've experienced in my life, that if in the moment somebody said to me, this is for your highest good, or this will go, you know,
Nobody wants to
it's
hear.
like, not. Just, you don't see it, but that's the piece that when you can take a wee step back.
Come out of the fog.
Come out of the fog,
Yeah.
absolutely. And actually trust. See, the biggest thing for me is this trust, is that if I can hold on and say it's my power, then sometimes that's all you can hold on to when you're going through situations. Like, I think I told you about the time that I broke my arm. Like, that really freaked me out. From this perspective of saying I created everything, then why did I do that?
Yeah.
And I remember being in a, and I did. I actually got the guidance, and I got the feedback that I was actually following a path that I knew I shouldn't have been. And so my husband teases me about that, says that if I don't listen to my own inner guidance, I get thrown down the stairs.
It's true.
It is
we
true.
have all these hunches and these inner stirrings and this little voice inside our head that we sometimes ignore. And those give us red flags. It's our higher selves, and we know better most of the time, but out of fear or whatever reason, fear of failure, fear of success, fear of judgments and criticism, we ignore that little voice. And then we venture off our path because we're not listening to what we're supposed to be doing for our highest good.
Well, part of that too is when we do that, we feel really alone, because we're actually completely shutting ourselves off from our own inner guidance. And so look at all the problems we have to deal with, and we're closing off the answers because they're
going
there
against the grain of who we really are.
And what a horrible way to feel lonely.
Exactly.
Right? No, and because that's something that I've often seen with different conversations that I've had with people like you and with different clients, is that once you start talking about how you feel about something and hear it being coming back, that other people feel that kind of thing too, all of a sudden it starts to open up your own perception of, wow, I don't have to hide and think that it's all me that has to deal with this stress or this burden. Or that's been actually, to me, a big part in depression.
Oh yeah, for sure. People feel so alone.
Which is why it's really good to have these kind of conversations. And my passion and my hope is that people will just hear one little nugget that will actually say, yeah, that spoke to me.
Shifting a perspective.
Yeah.
And that's what I feel that my work is like, sometimes I'm just guided to say something, and it all of a sudden they're like, I never thought of it that way. You know?
Yeah.
And then you're like, yes, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. You know, you're helping somebody.
I love that, because I have that with clients, that they'll literally say something to me and I will repeat it back to them, and they'll think that I've just opened something up and completely fixed something for them. But all I'm doing is giving them their words back.
We're
They're
just
wisdom.
vehicles.
Yeah. So please come back after the break, where we're going to discuss more ways about being mindful and helping you if you're stuck and stressed. So come back and have a chat with me and Stephanie.